Can everyone hear me?
Hello.
Yes, hi. Um, Welcome everybody to the second Google Hangout for the Global Institute for Youth. I am Noela Vigirimana and I will be moderating this session. Just briefly about myself, I'm currently serving on the board of GIY. I'm based in Boston, but currently in Rwanda on work assignments, and I work with a nonprofit organization called Team Heart, and I'm currently working as a consultant in communications and policy. Also on this call is um, Enoch. Hi, Enoch.
Hi.
Hi. Enoch Soa is the Technical Division's intern at the United Nations Populations Fund, UNFPA. He is also a membership intern at British American Business, has experience as research intern at Columbia Center for Youth Violence Prevention, and he's currently the Deputy CEO of Strategy for the Global Institute for Youth. Welcome, Enoch.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Yes, we also have Avile Maja, who is hi Avile.
Hello, hello.
Hi. He's the student ambassador for Google in Sub-Saharan Africa. He is also the chief operations officer and founder of Football Solves Problems. And Football Solves Problems is a community initiative project that looks to promote equality in communities with the use of sports. He's also a team manager at Gauteng Schools Hockey Association. Um, we will also have a third participant, and he is Eli Mandela. Eli will be joining us in the process of this call, and he's a vice coordinator at Rwanda Village Concept Project. And this is a student-run nonprofit organization that aims to improve health and living conditions of underprivileged communities, as well as building capacity for students that are involved. He's also a volunteer that has turned the public health officer for the Rwanda Pharmaceutical Students Association and has past experience as an intern at Algorithm Incorporated, which is a software company. All right, so we're excited to have everyone here. I think we're going to have exciting um, discussions. So just to begin this conversation, I would like to so to introduce this conversation today, we'll be talking about the merits of volunteering and internships that on the youth and their progress on becoming engaged and involved citizens, global citizens. So I want to start actually with a question to our panelists today and ask you, we know that people on the call are thinking, heading into the professional world can be very daunting. What has motivated you personally to apply for internships? We heard a little bit briefly about what you're doing and the amazing work that's being done. But how did you get involved and how did your search for internships begin? Whoever wants to take this, maybe,
I can talk first.
Okay, Avile.
So from my perspective is because I graduated high school and I'm a very outgoing person. I've always wanted to be in the business world, so I knew that it is key to get as much experience as possible for the sake of getting experience and for the sake of getting familiar with what you want to, what industry you want to be in, or how you want to further yourself. And as time went on, you start to realize that it's not the big value in internships and volunteering and so on is not really the personal benefit that you can derive from it, but it's rather the growth and that you get for yourself and the growth that you impart on other people. And you get an opportunity to learn much more because find you are in a position with more responsibility as an intern. However, you still have that room to make mistakes and learn. and that's what it's all about. So I really enjoy learning and getting to know myself better and pushing myself, and there's no platform better than doing that than internships, because people just want to impart knowledge on you, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, just to add to what Avila said, I think you know, theory without practice is pretty much fruitless. And I think one of the good things about internship is that you get to apply all these, knowledge that you've gained in the classroom in a field of interest. And so for me, that was one of my biggest motivation was in applying for internships was to ask myself, how can I get ahead in this competitive job market? How can I put everything that I have learned in the classroom into an actual practical use and gain much more experience from that. And in the present situation that we are, it is through internships. It is through working in a related field, shadowing an employee or somebody that um, is in a position that you would like to be. So for me, it was based from the most important thing was those two things, applying the skills and the experience that I've gained in the classroom into a practical use in the field of my interest, and also indirectly placing myself, on the above the edge of people in the job market, and kind of enhancing your skills and making you a viable candidate for a position in the future.
Excellent. Thank you so much for those. So I'm just curious because you both mentioned that it has allowed you to further your career goals. Can you tell us a little bit and link it to your current uh, positions and say how your previous experience as an intern or volunteer has allowed you to further on today?
I guess for me, one of the biggest things, which is what I think internships offered me an opportunity. What it kind of provided a clear path as to what I wanted to do. I was interested in a lot of things. I was interested in trying new things, but the reality is that you can't do it all. And so for me, going into internships gave me a sense of perspective. It gave me a sense of direction as to, oh, I am good at this and I'm not good at that. Although I am a science major, there are certain skills and abilities that I have gained that I could even use in a non-science related field. So although I kind of started off with a huge array of options, having internships kind of narrowed it down and also allowed me, to pick pieces from different fields and combine them into something that I'm passionate about. And so for me, that was one of the biggest things I really wanted to do was, go in with an open mind, um, have these, test all of these options, and then little by little, gradually get to the point where you want to be, and you realize that, oh, this is the field that I want to be at, this is what I'm good at, this is what I need improvement on. And all throughout the internships that I've been with, those allowed those things manifested, and you're always in a cycle of rechecking yourself and asking what I need to build, what are the skills that I have. And I think that, and again, it all goes ties back to having a competitive edge in the job market, and this is exactly what these internships and work experiences and volunteer opportunities provided.
Yeah. On my side, I think what Enoch had to say is very true for me as well. Um, I never really. I always thought I was gonna. I've always wanted to be a management consultant. Straight out of high school, I didn't want to to go study immediately. I wanted to take a gap year. But as we all know, at that age, you don't really have full control of your future, because I'm not. I wasn't financially independent. So my parents said you have to go study. So I studied the degree that would give me the best chance possible at being the best consultant I could be. Is a big Bachelor of Commerce, triple majoring in politics, philosophy, and economics. Did that, and in the meantime, my plan was to take a gap year and coach field hockey. Ended up coaching field hockey, and somehow got spotted by someone who's in the structures of the provincial structures, the national structures, and I got an opportunity to be the manager for one of the provinces here in South Africa for the under 18 teams. Carried that on, and in that I realized that I'm not doing this because I want to be a hockey coach. I want to be involved in hockey. I'm actually doing this because I enjoy it, and I'm helping someone better their craft and manage their skills better and just become a better player as a whole. That happened for 2 years, and I realized this is not what I want to do. I want to make a change with what I feel passionate about. Sports is fantastic, but I think a lot of people play sports and a lot of people are self-driven in sport. I wanted to get people inspired. So I started I started just trying to reach out as much as possible, seeing what other NGOs are doing. And I was approached by a friend of mine. He said, hey, look, Avi, I know the kind of person you are. How do you feel about starting an NGO? I was a bit skeptical at first because I was like, ooh, it's going to take up a lot of time. And I said, actually, let's do it. So 6 of us joined and we did it. And I never saw myself doing it, especially in the NGO sphere, because I wanted to career motivated and just do things for the sake of myself only. But as you grow older, you start realizing that there's just so much more to the world, that you actually, in order for you to become the person you need to be, you need to get the person next to you uplifted as well. Because that's the only way myself, I can get better. And I haven't looked back since. It's been amazing, and I'll chat about the Google thing maybe later on and how that happened. Um,
Absolutely, and thank you both for sharing your experience. And some of the themes I'm hearing that both Avile and Enoch are mentioning is that internship and volunteering will not only increase your knowledge in a field that you identified as your field of interest, but what's important, and they both mentioned, is to go in with an open mind and really try to test different aspects of it. And also in terms of responsibilities, as an intern, you do have responsibilities. The organization that you're working with, both personally, but also as a member of that organization, bettering the people around you and furthering their mission. So taking responsibility is important. And here, I can also, it definitely is applicable to myself as well, because a little bit like what you were mentioning, but my current position as a consultant for the Team Heart, the NGO I mentioned, started as an internship. They said, well, we have an internship position that is available. We don't know if you're interested. So when I joined them, I wasn't sure. I knew that my field of interest was healthcare, and they were working on the global health project. So I went in thinking I was going to be, getting some experience just in the sphere of medicine, but what I got out of it was much more than that. It really became about growing as a person, which is something that you both said. I want to ask you something, so, and here you can feel free to um, relate it to your own experience and or give concrete examples. As you head into an internship, you are always, they're paid and unpaid internships. How do you approach, or how have you approached in the past an unpaid internship? There may be people in our audience that are asking, well, what I see ahead of me are an unpaid internship. Can you mention a little bit of your own experience? around this?
First of all, it would be great if internships were paid, but I think the reality is that most, like as you rightly hit on, well, most of the internships are not paid. I think for me, the reason why I took almost all the internships that I found myself in was I saw what the big picture was. I think I wanted to go into the field that I'm interested in. These were the organizations that were doing some of the work that I'm interested in, and so it was mostly a cost benefit analysis as to whether the benefits of taking the unpaid internship outweighed the cost. And for me, it did. So I think for a lot of the young folks that are out there, who are, and I have to agree, it is sometimes a struggle because if you're in school and you have expenses to pay, and then you come all home over the summer, and you could take a job, a good paying job, a relatively good paying job working in a retail store, or you could work with a firm or organization that is in line with your passion, and you kind of see yourself in somewhat of a dilemma. And so for me, the biggest thing was does the benefits of taking this internship outweigh the cost? And it all bottoms down to and to make that decision, you have to really understand what your passions are, what are the skills that you're trying to get, what is it that you're trying to build upon, and see if those skills and experiences that you're seeking are being provided out with the organization that you're looking for. And so seeing that big picture and kind of putting yourself in there and strategically thinking what those costs and benefits are would definitely lead you into making a very, I guess, good decision about taking that unpaid internship.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Enoch very much because the truth is, internships, even if you do get paid, it's not really pay. It's just to cover your expenses, to ensure that you get to work on time, to ensure that you have enough money to buy yourself food so you're productive at work. So how I see it, I see it exactly like Enoch does. Internships aren't really paid. Um, you have to do it, number one, for yourself because you want to do it and you want to better yourself. You want to get to the level where you can actually fully say that I am fully competent at this. And you, the truth is, we're just not at the start. And if you really want to grow, there's no better way than pushing yourself and testing yourself. And internships are a perfect platform for that because at the end of the day, your goal is to learn as much as possible so you can become as efficient as possible and as productive as possible in what you do. And because as an intern, everybody's just willing to impart so much knowledge on you, to take you under their wings, be with them for a day and see how people work and how you should think about certain things and certain aspects of what you do. And volunteering is exactly the same, but now it's purely from the heart, and you'll be surprised how much you actually get to learn about the field that you thought you'd never be interested in. You fall in love with it, and you also get a vivid picture of the world in the way that you've never seen it before. You start to realize that so many things are connected, and you become less selfish in a way because you now realize that there's a whole other world that you never had an opportunity to be part of, let alone even see. So it's a really, you need to be self-driven. That's the truth, and it's outcome based. Outcome based in the sense that you will achieve something from this, but it's all about, from an internal perspective, it's all about the journey, what you take from the experiences. So as much as it's not nice being paid, because some of your friends don't go straight into jobs. Some people are fortunate enough for that, and sometimes just the nature of the environment nowadays is very competitive. You just need to differentiate yourself somehow, and internships are a fantastic way because you do get that experience and you actually get to relate to what you actually learned in theory to what the world is, and it's a fantastic opportunity that you have to give yourself.
And just to add to what
Perfect.
Avila was saying, I think um, you have you have to see internships as a win-win um, situation. You're not only interning with the organization and make it depends on what kind of internship you're getting, but you're not only you know working or making copies or serving coffee. Most of these organizations that you intern with, provided you do the due diligence in terms of finding if it's the right fit for you, provide you an opportunity to grow, as Avila was saying. A personal antidote. I interned with British American Business 2 summers ago, and when I graduated this past May, they were looking for someone to work temporarily with them, and I was the first person they contacted. It wasn't because I was great or anything, but they recognized that they had invested some time in training me and working with the organization, and so the best person to kind of fill in this urgent job would be somebody that has prior knowledge about the organization has worked with them, knows the ins and out of the organization. And now they're paying me. When I entered with them the first time, they didn't pay me, but now they're paying me. And so most organizations see this also as an investment. They are as an investment opportunity where they are providing you the room to grow. They're providing you the room to develop, to engage, and build the necessary skills and experience needed for you to enter the job market. And it will be stupid of them if they have openings in their jobs, and they will take somebody else and not you. Why would they take somebody else that they're not going to take invest time and energy and money to train when they've had previous interns who are also looking for the same position? So again, it goes back to seeing what the big picture is and leveraging those networks and always staying in touch and being in constant communication with previous employers.
Excellent. Thank you about that. And I'll come back to both of you so that you give us a better idea of how you went about, like specifically steps that you took. Did you Google things? Did you, the way that you went about um, finding these opportunities? But first, I want to welcome our third panelist, Ellie. Hi, Ellie. Can you hear us?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Yes, excellent. We're happy to have you join us. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about some of your experience in the.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear the question.
Sorry, I was saying if you can provide us a little bit of an overview of your experience, and the question you were answering was you were reflecting on internships and what they bring to a person, whether on paid or
My experience, I'll talk about my volunteering experience because that's what I think I have most. Um,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so I've been involved with the Rwanda Pharmaceutical Students Association and Rwanda Village Concept Project. Both are student-run organizations, but my main reason for joining these organizations was mainly to get the knowledge I could not get from my curriculum or my studies that I was having. So, and plus, in addition to that, also having an impact on the community because we usually serve the community. So my main goal was to have the knowledge that I could not get from my class studies and also to help the community. I'm not sure if I answered well because I couldn't hear you very well, but I tried.
Yes, yes. That was. Thank you, thank you. Can you hear us? Can you hear me better now? We had a few technical issues earlier that solved them. So yes, to and this is gonna be a general question that Ellie has had experience in Rwanda, and
Yes.
Avila has had experience in South Africa, and Eno has had experience in the U.S. Give us concrete steps how did you go about finding these opportunities, whether it's internships or and here, let's start with Abdullah.
Please ask that again. My internet. Hi, Noel.
Yes.
Please
Hello.
ask that again.
Yes. The question I was trying to get at is, could you give us concrete examples? For example, how did you go about finding these opportunities that you mentioned? What are the steps that you took? Did you ask people? Did you Google it? Did you go to school and talk to your professors? How did you identify? So basically, concrete examples about how to go about finding these opportunities.
Okay. Very, very nice question because everybody will have a different answer to this, but it just shows your character as a person and your willingness to think beyond what you have immediate access to. So I'll say how I got the role of being a student ambassador in sub-Saharan Africa for Google. Um, at the university that I'm at, University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. Um, they had student ambassadors there, but they were graduating. They were master's students, and they were graduating. And they had an event. I saw a poster on on one of the notice boards at school, and it was talking about how you can do cool things that matter for other people for free. And I was like, that looks pretty cool. Let me see what these guys got, what what they doing, what are these cool things that people are doing. And that's my curiosity that got me that opportunity. Had a chat with them, and they actually told me that, look, we leaving. I think you'd be a great addition. Why don't you try apply? Didn't take their word for it, obviously. Went online, went to Google's careers page, saw their internships, and then under internships there was one of the requirements for the Google internship is that you have to be free in the summer, American summer, when the universities in America aren't at school. Like, so that's from June till September or sometime. And unfortunately, because I'm in the southern hemisphere, our timetable, our summer is in December, just November, December, and January. So I wasn't able to take that because I only have a 3 week break in June. So the next best thing was to apply for the student ambassador role, which it was nicer because it's a different type of insurance because it extends the whole year, and you have full responsibility, and you have a much bigger responsibility in the sense that there's no one every every day. It's more like, listen, they train us for 2 weeks. They fly us out, and then they train us for 2 weeks under the Google Student Ambassador program. And after that, you left alone. You left to weekly reports and see how you're doing and what impact you're having in your community, in your area, and in your country. So I thought that was a really cool opportunity, a really fantastic opportunity, but I didn't know the seriousness and the gravity of it at that stage. So I did apply and went further and so on, and I got accepted. And I was elated when I was accepted, but they made it very clear that what you doing here is fine. This was and the fact that you were involved with a company, um, a company that big, but the
All right. Um, can everybody hear me? I think
Yeah, I could, I could
yeah, Abdullah,
continue.
I look forward to continuing that. So he was mentioning how he was resourceful in working in the way that he was. He had an open eye to opportunities like that you went about finding these opportunities.
Sure. I guess for me, I think going off what Avila was saying, you really have to know what you're interested in. And so for me, some of the practical ways I was able to land those internships was basically create a list of, you know, dream, quote unquote, dream organizations that I would like to work with, and it and then go on their websites to see if they have internships available, what the deadlines are, write those deadlines down next to each name, what the application process is. And so having that list was very helpful. And then looking at who the point person is. And so, because it's one thing to just do an application and then set it in, again, it's going back on the theme of putting yourself at the ahead of the pack. It takes sending an email or calling the organization and asking them, "Hey, I just sent in this. I'm thinking of applying for this internship position. Is there someone I could speak to that could talk to me more about it?" Those kind of informational interviews are good. One, it gives you a better sense of what the internship is. Two, it puts your name in the mind of whoever will be reading those applications, and so you have that competitive edge. Um, Third, I think for most young people that are in colleges, I think one of the other ways I also did it was um, all my professors in college knew what I was interested in. All my professors in college had an idea of the kind of work that I wanted to do, and professors basically became a conduit for relaying information to me. So I would normally get an email from my professor that would say, "Hey, a friend of mine that works at this company just sent this internship position opening. I thought it would be good for you to apply." And so they will send that information your way. You follow through, making sure that you're meeting the deadlines. Everything that is required is has been set, and then you keep on following through in terms of emailing, asking the status of what the internship is. Um, and so for me, those were critical things. I know some schools have career offices as well, where they give you they provide you information as to what kind of internship is available. And so those by taking those practical steps, you get one step closer to getting an getting an internship. So the bottom line is you have to do the due diligence. You have to if you have to go on Google the name of Google something that you're interested in. If you're interested in biomedical sciences, you can go on Google and internship biomedical science internships. There'll be a number of biomedical science internships, and then you have to basically, sift through what meets your interest, what doesn't, and then you follow through that way. I think it all comes down to you and you following through. And for some of us, it's especially with the when it comes to contacting individuals, some of us are not good at that, myself included. And so what I always do is make sure that when I'm going to send an email to somebody, I have somebody proofread it, and making sure that the language is correct, the tone is right, because those are the little things that people take into consideration. um, and yeah, one final thing: have your resume ready. I always have a resume with me in my bag, because you don't know where you will be at, and that you will meet somebody who you would like to make a connection with. And so have a resume ready. Make sure that people proofread it. It's presentable. And always tell your resume to the organization that you want to intern for. And so those practical steps definitely take you one step closer to landing that internship.
Yes, thank you for sharing and welcome back, Avile. Thank you for adding on what Avile had said and about resourcefulness, about talking about informational interview and sharing your interest and networking. I want to now turn to Ellie and ask him the same question. Can you, in your volunteering position, you said that you were seeking something that would not only give you knowledge but also help you serve your community. What are the steps that you took to get that position as a student volunteer?
Noella, can you please repeat the question? Your voice is really low.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's wrong, but I was saying basically if you can sort of add on to the conversation about practical steps that you took to get your current volunteering position, and if you can tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start with the Rwanda Village Concept Project. When I was in my first year, we used to have a lot of free time, and then in that free time, I used to hang out a lot with a friend of mine who used to be on the computer all the time, and was my kind of thing. So whenever we were always doing different things on a computer, some person from RVC saw us and he said, "Can you help us?" He talked to us. He asked what year we were in, and he asked us what we usually do during our free time. So he invited us to a general assembly in RVCP that usually takes place on Fridays. So in that general assembly, when we got there, we were really interested on what they were doing in the community and what kind of skills they could learn. So for us to join immediately, we they had a problem with a website and their social media. So the first thing we noticed is that they did not have a functional website. So we asked if we could work on that for them. So and then immediately they accepted because they did not have somebody to work on the website. Then we started working on the website, working on the social media, and then getting more involved with the organization made me get in touch with the people who are maybe if I can say on higher level, then I could learn a lot from them, asking different questions. And I think what helped me most was curiosity, because I always wanted to know more and more and more. And then after that, apart from only developing the website, and then I was more interested into the programs. So and then this time came where there was supposed to be election. So I knew not a lot about the organization, but being involved really helped me a lot. So I had to put in my to be I wanted also to be really more involved, and then that's when I got elected to be vice coordinator, where you get now more involved and really active. And I think it applies to the very same thing volunteering in the Rwanda Pharmaceutical Students Association too. I was also part of the media team, which was also in charge of developing the website. And then there too, I was being part of that team. Then I was interested in the public health part because I wanted to, uh, once I'm done with my undergrad school, I would want to go for public health. So I thought this was another opportunity to expose me to what I really wanted to do in the future. So I thought to myself, why not go for public health? I knew maybe I did not have enough knowledge or enough experience in this, but I wanted to get the knowledge and the experience from that position. Because we always take, whenever also inviting other people to join the organizations, we tell them to come into the organization for learning. Not, we don't expect you to know everything, but we expect you to learn a lot from these organizations. So I also was a public health officer and then through elections once again. So I believe one of the things was having something really little that you know that you can contribute to a certain community, and then once you're in there, and then you're really interested and you want to learn more, and then that's when you get really involved, and then that's how you can get to work more and do more activities. So basically, I was introduced, and then I got more involved, and then
Okay, thank you. And it's again you're referring back to some of the things that we were discussing previously. But now I want to ask you all three of our panelists a question, which I think is a key question that keeps coming back. Um, what are some of the lessons and some of your learning curves, some of the challenges once you got your foot in the door as an intern or a volunteer? What are the challenges and what advice would you have for people seeking these types of opportunities? Um, maybe Enoch?
Sure. For me, I think one of the biggest challenge, and this was my first internship, was trying to be perfect. And so you were always basically walking on a tightrope, making sure that everything you did was quote unquote perfect. If you, I think what yes, strive to be a perfectionist, but you should allow yourself room to fail and room to be corrected. This is a training, and I mean another word for an internship is a training. And so I think being confident and allowing yourself to make mistakes and being open about it and being transparent about it and asking for help goes in a long way to help you in the future. If that was something, I wish that was something I knew when I started my first internship. The second thing, I think the second challenge that most interns face is there is this stereotype about interns that interns are supposed to only be are supposed to be seen and never to be heard. And so when you, I mean, in most of our, I mean, the quintessential internship office looks like the intern cubicle is like way at the back, and then you only just come in when you're called upon. I think once you get to a certain level, once you build a good relationship with your supervisor, you should be free, you should be able to speak up, you should be able to ask questions, you should be able to contribute. And I think most organizations actually appreciate that they do get a sense that you're pretty much interested and invested in this company, that you're contributing to the discussion. And so those two things, making yourself visible and making yourself and allowing yourself to make mistakes and learning from those mistakes. That was something that I had struggled with when I first started off interning, and the same thing goes with volunteering as well. There is this, sometimes you go to volunteer events and you just do things and then you leave. You need to interact with people. You need to put yourself out there, and sometimes it comes up as being very quote unquote opportunistic or so, but you you have to strive to come out of that bubble and engage.
Yes. Thank you. And Avile.
I agree with Enoch again. um, with my, I had a very, very crude lesson last year sometime. Um, in August, after I got accepted into the Google Student Ambassador Program, our training was in Ghana for a couple of weeks. So they flew us out to Ghana, very intense few weeks of training, uh, very rigorous, literally from the morning, straight after breakfast, up until after dinner. Um, we were just literally learning, working, finding out what we can do in our communities, seeing. So there was just a lot of work, and what during that time, the hotel that we were staying in was had a lot of, it was people that were there for business mostly. Um, Turns out the guy who sat behind us at most meals um, was a South African, and he was a CEO of a company, a consultancy company, and he heard our conversations every now and then, and I stood out for him because I was so outgoing, and he said, "Look, listen, what's your name?" We had a chat and took his details down, and he said, "Come back. When you get back to South Africa, contact me." So I contacted him, we chatted, and he said, come work for me, and you'll still be able to do your job because it's task based, it's not hours based. So you just, when you execute your task, you plan an event, you do a certain training, and without have time. And he understood that I was in the role as a good Google Student Ambassador. So he said, "Look, I really think your potential is great. Pull through, come in." And started for the first week, worked. It was fantastic. And because of the nature of the industry, they lost a huge client, lost a lot of money. And he said, "Avi, we can keep you, but we just don't have the money to pay you. Would you like to stay?" I said, "I would love to stay." And another cut happened, and it happened that the people in that I was working under, my supervisors and so on, were unable, because now the responsibility had to be spread amongst everybody in the team, in the workforce, there was just no room for people to help me and guide me. Even though I did a lot of the work myself, but it was just not possible. And I didn't get, I literally was there for 1 week and I had no room anymore. And I could have taken it that, oh, I'm really bad at what I do, they don't like me. But the reality is that um, we live in a world, and some of the things in the world we cannot control. And you just need to do your best part to ensure that you are able to seize the moment and seize the opportunities that do come by, because a lot of opportunities shut down. So I took a positive out of that. I still have a relationship with Nicholas, who's the guy who told me to come work for him. Um, it was fantastic, and it's still fantastic. I learned a lot from him. We still keep in touch. Uh, it hurt because the opportunity that was there just wasn't there the next day, and it was a horrible feeling. And people just need to, youngsters especially, need to realize that it's not all them. You just can't control the market sometimes. Even if you have a fantastic team, if the market or the world says no, it's not going to happen, it's just not possible. So keep a positive outlook and be like Enoch said. He keeps his CV, his resume with him all the time, because you just don't know when the door might open for you. So just keep ready. Doors close all the time, but more doors open than close.
Excellent. Ellie.
Yes.
Ellie? Yes. A little bit about your learning and advice for youngsters.
I did not hear anything you said, please. Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. I was saying, as we prepare to wrap up, I wanted to hear your learning curve. Once you had these opportunities that you shared, what was your uh, learning curve challenges that you found, and the advice you would give to somebody if they were to face that challenge as well?
All right. I think I'll give one example, one challenge or one experience that I've learned more than the others, maybe if I can say that. It's in the preparations of the African Pharmaceutical Symposium that was happened a few days in July. So the reason why I say this is, while volunteering, you are exposed to things that you maybe you wouldn't have been exposed to if you went to maybe, like, if I'm doing pharmacy, if I went to intern in a pharmacy or intern in a hospital. So during my volunteering in the Rwanda Pharmaceutical Students Association, we prepared the African Pharmaceutical Symposium. During this symposium, I was the one in charge of finances, so I had to develop marketing strategies. I had to develop everything related to the finances. So this was one of the most challenging things I've ever really encountered. But what I believe is that I learned most in this still experience. So what I would advise everyone is that instead of using your free time doing something that's not going to increase your knowledge or anything, find somewhere to volunteer or intern, because during the time you spend either volunteering, you're always gaining something, and which you will definitely use for in the future. Like, for example, in the pharmaceutical symposium that we're organizing, I basically I was almost doing everything in charge. I was in all departments in one way or another. So and I currently I have a business, and I added event management to the profile of the business through the volunteering I was doing in RPSA, which I believe it's something really great. So do not be afraid to venture into those volunteering positions or internship positions, because you learn really, really a lot.
Yes, and thank you very much. And so as we're approaching our 1 hour, the end of our 1 hour conversation, I wish I had more time to go into more depth with each of you because your experiences are amazing. But um, some of these advice that we've heard and that our panelists have basically turned challenges into learning opportunities. From Enoch mentioning that understanding that mistakes are okay. They may happen, but understand that it's part of the training. But building relationship and remaining connected, and keeping that curiosity and trying to be visible with what you're doing. And Avi also echoed that and said you can't control the environment, but to keep a positive outlook. The same with Ellie, with what you mentioned. So for each of you, as we conclude, there are aspects we didn't get to talk about because each of you at one point mentioned service to community. I would have loved to speak a little bit more about that, but we are running out of time. I wonder if you have, just parting words or concluding statement that you want to make for the people listening to the station. And here it can be anything that you think, our takeaway message.
Take, I guess thank you. I just want to thank everybody as well. I think this is really informational and helpful for myself as well. There are a lot of other perspectives that I didn't know, but I guess kind of also tying it into the volunteering aspect that we talked about. Um, I would say a takeaway message would be, sometimes we get so much confused. Either do I do an internship or do I volunteer? I think it should never be an either or situation. I always say one of the things that a good friend of mine once told me was that volunteering is not always an in into an internship. Because in order for you to have that resume, you have to be doing something. And the easiest way to actually build up your resume and also impact your community and be very engaged with your community is through volunteering. And so if it's still taking a Saturday out of your day and just reading with middle age school kids, it is something that you're doing. One, you are building your confidence. Two, you are improving upon your communication skills. Three, you are improving upon your interpersonal skills. These are three important skills that will always come in handy when you're applying for an internship. And so it should never be an either or situation that says, oh, I'm only going to focus on internships, and then once I'm quote unquote stable, I would focus on volunteering. I think they both don't go hand in hand because there's so many skills and abilities that you could build and improve upon through volunteering. And so going forward, I would definitely encourage everyone to to be part of their communities, to be engaged in national days of service, to be engaged in community days of service, because not only are you giving back, but you're also building yourself in the long term.
Thank you. And maybe we can hear from Avi and then Ellie and then conclude. Thank you.
From my side, what I really and how I want to conclude is that there's a lot of opportunities. You need to put yourself in a position where you are able to seize them up. And the only way that you can do that is get out of your comfort zone and back yourself. Comfort zone up yourself to opportunities that a day ago you would not even dream of getting. And number two, if you back yourself, you're giving yourself the best chance possible. You're putting the best version of yourself forward. And the truth is, if you really back yourself, someone out there is looking for someone who has the potential that you have or the skills that you have. And there's no ways that you guys can meet if you don't put yourself out there in the first place. So like anything in any market, it needs to be in the market for it to be demanded. So put yourself in the market, and the demand for yourself or demand for the skills that you have will increase, because people will now realize, hey, I might not have set out to look for a person like this, but this is the person I really need. And it wouldn't be possible if, number one, you didn't put yourself out there, and number two, you didn't back yourself. So you really just need to back yourself, and don't be scared of being turned down. You just might not be what people need at the stage, but you are good at something that whatever you do, and someone is looking for that skill. But the only way for them to find it is if you put yourself out there.
I would like to first apologize for being late in technical problems, but I'm glad I had an internship in a software company, so I managed that well. Anyways, what I would like to conclude saying is, first of all, like Enoch said, find something to do. Maybe you don't have an internship. You're not able to get an internship right now. Go out there, volunteer, do something. Do something. Then, like he said once again, I think grow your resume, and then wherever you want to reach, you can be able to get there, but you need to do something first. It's either going to be through volunteering or interning. And one thing I would want to conclude on, the second thing is, the years I've been in university, I think these are the years that I've grown most. And my growth is not in classes or in my courses that I've been doing. It's out there volunteering. So if you know you have some free time, do it, use it, either gain another skill out there. I think it's really important, either in your career and even in your professional life. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your time and your valuable insight. The audience and myself included have learned a lot from hearing your concrete examples and what your counterparts are doing and how to overcome some of the biggest challenges in this area. Um, I love the insight. It's too much to unpack in a concluding statement, but I hope people, I mean, I know people will have access to this. We can all be found online, and I hope we can carry this conversation. And the Global Institute for Youth hopes that the listeners will have learned and will be challenged by today's discussion. And if you want to join us online, you can just hashtag GI4Youth or find us on Twitter. And we hope that wherever you are, we can keep carrying this discussion around. Thank you all so much again.
Thank
With that,
you.
Thank you very much for having us, Noella.
Really good. Thank you.
thank you.
I
Thank you.
think
Thank
what
you.
you're doing is fantastic.
It was great.